Hello, good morning, everyone. We will continue our discussion. Today it will be about the stem. So for the introduction, if we see here that the primary stem, like the root, has an epidermic and cortex, but often a distinct boundary layer, such the endodermis, is not visible. So one of the difference between the root and the stem is there is no endodermis in the stem. An exodermis is also rare, but a hypodermis is frequently present. Sometimes there is a layer that looks like an endodermis, but this normally lacks the Casparian strips and is normally called an endodermoid sheath or starch sheath. So if you see, the name is not the endodermis, but endodermoid. So the meaning of oid is this look like. And the vascular system follows, and this starts off as individual vascular bundles in both monocots and dicots. So if you still remember that it will for both monocots and dicots, there will be a vascular system, but the difference is in the place of the vascular system. Unlike the root, the protoxylem poles are directed towards the center, and the protophlome poles to the outer side in most cases. And then the center is often parenchymatous ground tissue, but may be hollow. And then the vast majority of the species have stems with nodes where the leaves emerge, and axillary buds may be present. So this is the trifolium, or red clover. If you see here, it is a mature stem at the end of the primary growth. And if you see here, one of the identification is the vascular bundle contain very limited amounts of secondary xylem and secondary phloem. And the cortex is very narrow and composed of chlorenchyme. And then the cortex is separated from the vascular bundles and the underlying pith by a starch sheath. So here we will discuss one by one about the epidermis. If we see that the epidermis can be one or more layered. The cells may be similar in form to those of the lip of the same species, but more often they show more elongation in the direction parallel with the stem axis and their anticlinal. Anticlinal wall, as seen in surface view, are often not markedly sinuous. The outer wall is usually thicker than the anticlinal or inner walls. And the proportion of cell length to cell width or height to width, as seen in microscope, and then can be used with the caution as diagnostic feature. But actual measurements are not normally sufficiently constant to be used in identification or classification. This is the hypodermis. It can differentiate between the stem and the roots. The layer of the cells under the epidermis is called the hypodermis. So here, if you see here, this is the cortex, and this is the hypodermis. And then this is the epidermis. And this may show the distinct differences from the next cortical layer, but in many taxa is defined only by its position. When it is not different in appearance, it is commonly described by systematic plant anatomists as being absent. And a distinct hypodermis is found in Salvadora persica of the sporadic occurrence of the distinct hypodermis in the taxa of vascular plants. Its presence or absence is of little taxonomic and small diagnostic value. And There is also stomata, yeah. In taxa with well-developed leaves, the stem stomata tend to be much more sparse, but of same type as in the leaf of the same species. When the stem is a principal photosynthetic organ, either supplementing or replacing leaves, yeah, stomata tend to occur in higher frequency. Yeah, for example, in the cactus, yeah, cactus plant, yeah, because the organ that has a photosynthetic function is stem, not their leaves. And often the gut cells are aligned parallel to the long axis of the stem, and the stomata appear in rows. There are also trichomes, yeah, hairs, papillae, and scales exhibit the same wide range as on the leaf. And then the type of hair can be diagnostic value at species level, sometimes also at genus level, yeah, but rarely at family level. So for the type of hair, yeah, for the trichomes, yeah, it can be used for identification and classification of species and genus, yeah. But it is not common to for identification of the family, yeah. And then for the cortex, yeah, the cortex in the stem can be very narrow and composed of few cell layers, or wide and also multi-layer. And the cortical zone is traditionally regarded as extending, yeah, from epidermis or hypodermis to an inner boundary inside which vascular bundles are present. And the inner boundary is often very indistinct, and sometimes the vascular bundles from the lip traces may be present among cells which clearly belong to the cortex itself. And the chloroplast may be present in the collenchyme cell, can be the outer cortex in the layer of the parenchymatous cell, yeah, like in the palisade cell or in the cells of various shapes. Stem of leaflet plants, for example, like Juncus species, often have a very formal and regular collenchyme arrangement. And then there are a few herbaceous plants which lack of chloroplast in cortical tissues, and these plants normally figure among those with the abnormal of nutrition, yeah, for example in orobans. For the fibers and sclerates are prominent feature in the cortex of many species. Often the grouping of fibers into strands with well-defined cross-sectional outlines and in characteristic position. And in the cortex, we'll have for identification of a plant. Yeah, fiber can also show individual peculiarities, which enable one to identify even isolated strands. Yeah, this is particularly true for the fiber, which are economic importance, many of which are cortical in origin. For example, the genus of Linum, Flex, and also Buehmeria. Yeah, and the crystal and tannin often occur in cell of the cortex and the central ground tissue. Yeah, so the appearance of the crystal, yeah, can also be used for identification. Yeah, so maybe in next year, yeah, when you have the practicum analytical pharmacognosy, and I hope that we can do it in lab. Yeah, you can do it in lab, and then you can see, you can differentiate between one and another species or genus, the difference from their crystal. Yeah, and then for the cluster crystals or druce are probably the most common type. Yeah, but solitary crystals of various shapes and size, similar to the range exhibited in leaves, are of widespread occurrence. Yeah, for the rapids, not of widespread occurrence in dicotyledons. And then for the endodermis, in some plants, the inner boundary of the cortex is well differentiated into an endodermis and show Casparian strip. So if you still remember, the Casparian strip is very important in the transport also. And then, for example, this is Hydrocharitase, and in Helianthus, sunflower, the cells are well defined and rich in stored starch, but lack of Casparian strips. They constitute a starch sheet. In many other plants where the cells in these zones are morphologically distinctive but lack Casparian strips or stored starch, they are probably best called as an endodermoid. So look like endodermis but not endodermis. We call it endodermoid. And then for the vascular and strengthening tissues, many monocotyledons, and only a few cotyledons have a well-developed cylinder of sclerenchyme to the inner side of the endodermoid layer. In it are embedded some of the vascular bundles, often all the small bundles, and sometimes of the large bundle as well. And then most dicotyledons with secondary growth in thickness lack such a cylinder. Their open vascular bundles, each with cambium, are arranged in a ring. And each bundle may have a cap of fibers to its outer side, but the flank of the bundles are not enclosed, so enabling unhindered development of the intervascular cambium to produce continuous cambial cylinder in secondary growth. In many monocotyledons lacking of sclerenchymatous cylinder, and the individual bundle have a seed of sclerenchyme. This is frequently only a few layers thick of the flanks and several layers thick of the xylem and phloem poles. An outer parenchymatous seed featured in a number of these plants. Because there is no cambium, the enclosing of the vascular tissues in this plant does not affect the normal growth and development. For the monocotyledons, which have a vascular plexus at the nodes, the sclerenchyme seeds become discontinuous. If there is an intercalary meristem, the bundle seeds are poorly developed in the meristematic zone. And then we continue to the modified and specialized stem. We can see the different types of stem here. The function is for the food storage. This is the example is the cactus, the bamboo also, and also kohlrabi, like pak choy. And the other is for the food storage is sugarcane. So here you can also see the product of the sugarcane. The other example is asparagus. Here this is the internode. This is the node and node. Okay, so this is the first modification of the stem. We call it rhizome. What is rhizome? Rhizomes are horizontal stems that grow below the ground with the adventitious roots. So please, you have to be able to differentiate between the stem and the rhizome and also the root. Rhizome is not the root but the stem, and it grows under the ground. For example, the plants that have rhizomes, iris and ferns, grasses, and if you remember, maybe ginger, temulawak, yeah, and also kunyit, yeah. Okay, and then the other example of the modified stem are stolons, yeah. We call it stolon, runner horizontal stem that grows above the ground with long internodes, yeah. So if rhizome is below the ground, the stolon is above the ground, yeah. So the example of the plants that produce stolons are strawberry and airplane plants. The next one is tuber. Yeah, so I think you are familiar with this kind of stem, yeah, tuber, yeah. Accumulation of food at the tips of underground stolon, yeah. So the example of the plant is potato, yeah. If you see that there are eyes, yeah, of potato, it is the nodes of starch-laden stem, yeah. Yeah, so this is for the potato. It is domesticated in region of modern day in Bolivia and Peru, yeah. This one, yeah, the taters. And okay, the next one is rosette, yeah. What is rosette? Yeah, stem with short internodes and leaf attached at nodes, yeah. So this is, yeah, the stem and the stem and the leaf attached to a node, yeah. So this is the example of wild radish and also the rosette and bolt, yeah. This is the first year, and yeah, the flowering in annual, yeah. This one, the example, the other example, yeah. So you can see the difference between the first year and also the second year. The next one is bulbs, yeah. What are bulbs? Large buds with a small stem at the lower end, surrounded by numerous fleshy leaves, adventitious root at the base, yeah. For example, onion, yeah, tulip, lily, and also the garlic, yeah. And the next one is corm, yeah. Corm resemble bulbs but composed entirely of stem tissue, surrounded by a few papery scale like leaves, food storage organs with the adventitious roots at the base of corms, yeah. The example include crocus and also gladiolus. The next one is cladophylls, yeah. Leaf-like stem, and the example include Butcher's broom and also the asparagus, yeah. So I think this is the last example of the modified of the stems. Thank you for your attention. See you again in other meeting. Bye-bye.